Welcome back, guys, to another terrifying chapter of The Haunting of Mid-Level. I am, of course, your host, the Mid-Level Critic, Ken. I thank you all for joining me. This has been such a fun time doing this show, and I'm excited to be back for part 4 this week. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today, a lot of stuff to get into. This is a jam-packed show, and I thank you all for being here. But before we start, guys, if you are not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and like this video, and when we get to the end and you got some comments on the discussions we covered today, please comment down below and let me know your thoughts. So let's get into the news, guys. The first news item I have is the Ghoulies creators are hoping to get Sony on board with a reboot. So I don't know if anybody is familiar with the Goonies franchise. I remember watching the first two. Apparently there's 4, but I remember watching the first 2 when I was younger. It was one of those series that I found in the video store and rented them and watched them. And if I remember correctly, it's a very vulgar, just disgusting, nasty franchise. Like the monsters actually come out of the toilet. A mature, just kind of raunchy version of Gremlins is what they were going for. But yeah, it's a very raunchy franchise. I don't know in this day and age that you're going to get Sony on board with a reboot. You know, it just depends on the capacity that it's coming back in. I don't think that this is a theatrical release franchise that they could be bringing back. So my thought is maybe if it's straight to VOD, it's possible. But yeah, the Ghoulies nowadays, I don't know if that works, so I'm not sure on my thoughts on that. But another news story, guys, we have New Mutants, and I'm going to go ahead and mention New Mutants because it's kind of horror. It was billed as a horror superhero film, but it has a release date now. It's August 28th. It was supposed to come out last April, and this has really been in going through hell as far as a release date and finding a release window because this film has been pushed back like 5 times now. And it's just funny because it's nobody's fault it got pushed back this time except for, the virus. But it was supposed to come out in like August of 2018. So now it's finally going to come out in August of 2020, at least hopefully, unless something else happens and it gets pushed back again. But yeah, so New Mutants, I know a lot of people were hoping that it would probably get released on the VOD platforms, maybe Hulu or something like that. But yeah, it looks like it's still getting a theatrical release date, so it looks like they're really trying to get this into theaters. So hopefully we can look forward to that in August. And, August is already looking pretty stacked. We got Wonder Woman, we got New Mutants. I think Antebellum's supposed to come out in August, so there's some movies coming out in August to get excited about for sure. So the next news item, guys, I'm going to cover is, I don't know if there's any Hatchet fans out there. But the director, Adam Green, says that he is working on a new Hatchet film. So that would be the 5th installment, I believe. So they have Hatchet 1, 2, and 3. And then they have the 4th installment, which was the latest. I think it came out in 2018, called Victor Crowley. I have seen all of the Hatchet films. I enjoy them for what they are. They're completely ridiculous, almost on borderlining on parody of the old slasher films from the 80s. They're fun. They're fun movies. I don't know. I really didn't like Victor Crowley. I didn't like the last one they did. I did like the first 3 in the franchise. I thought they were pretty solid. And of course, it's always nice to see Danielle Harris in horror films, and she was in those first 3 movies. So, but yeah, I didn't love Victor Crowley, so I don't know how excited I am for a 5th one. They're fine. They're fun, so I might check it out if it comes out. But the next thing, guys, and this is one I'm pretty excited about, but Mike Flanagan is signing on for another Stephen King adaptation. He is doing Revival, which is I can't remember when that book came out. I think it was 2014. It's a much talked about Stephen King book, and I know a lot of people were pretty excited about it. I've never read the book, but I am excited for Flanagan tackling another Stephen King property, especially after how good of a job he did on Gerald's Game, which was a Netflix release from 2017. And of course, last year's Doctor Sleep, which I thought Doctor Sleep was phenomenal. It was in my top 3 of last year for sure. At one time, it was my favorite film of 2019, but it got surpassed by a couple others when I saw more. But I think Doctor Sleep's fantastic. I love Mike Flanagan as a director. He directed the entire series of The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, which is a great TV series. He did Oculus, which is a pretty good movie. I don't love it, but it's pretty good. And Hush was an excellent Netflix kind of home invasion thriller. So he's a great director. I love him. I love seeing his progression in the horror genre. So I can't wait to see him tackle this material. So it's very exciting. All right, guys. So now we're gonna move into our next topic, and this is gonna kind of segue into my review, which is my review of The Wretched, which I watched last night. But The Wretched has now topped the drive-in box office with, I think, maybe 70,000. So it's not that much, but The Wretched is technically the number one movie as far as theatrically released film in America. So that's pretty interesting. So I decided to check this out last night because I saw it on VOD, and it's like $6 or $7 to get on VOD. So I went ahead and got it, and I watched it. And to be honest, I did enjoy it. I thought it was a solid horror movie, but it was very basic. It felt like a straight to DVD Walmart bin horror film. So I'm not sure how this is topping the drive-in box office, or why they're choosing this one to release in drive-ins as opposed to anything else you would find on the Walmart shelves from IFC Midnight. But yeah, I mean, it's a story of a witch. It's a boy who his parents are getting divorced. He's kind of an angsty teen. He's gotten himself into trouble, drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff. But that really doesn't play too much of a factor in the film. He really kind of seems normal most of it, so they don't really delve into that, although that's what the synopsis says. And he slowly starts to discover that a 1,000-year-old witch may have taken over the body of his neighbor, the mother of in a family next door. So I mean, I think that there was an interesting story in here, and there was an interesting way to tell it, but I don't think they told it in that way. First off, they gave away the story, a lot of what happened, like right in the very beginning. They showed you the witch, they showed you what she looked like, and it just looked like one of those kind of generic monsters, and the CGI was very low budget. And I think with the budget that they were on, they should have restrained themselves a little bit. They should have held back on showing that off and maybe saved it for, I don't know, the third act, and then they could have had a grand finale. And, maybe because the mom, like, you see the mom is normal, and then you see her get taken over by this witch, and that happens like 40 minutes into the movie. So they give you the synopsis of this film and paint it as if it's the boy, like, discovering his neighbor's a witch, but she doesn't become a witch till like halfway through the movie. So I think it would have been better told if maybe you didn't know how she became a witch, that maybe that had already been in place, that had already happened, and then he discovered that she was a witch. I don't know. It was fine. It was fine. And like it had some creepy moments in it. One thing I appreciated is that it had some good atmosphere. It had some genuine creepiness to it. It didn't just rely solely on jump scares. And they had a lot of stuff where they would kind of show you an out of focus background, and sometimes the witch would be there and you could see her eyes. And then, sometimes she wouldn't, but it kind of trained you to focus on the background and try to pick stuff out. And it was kind of creepy. It had some creepy moments to it and some mood and atmosphere. So the acting, the performances, they're pretty much what you expect. The two main kids, the leads in it, they were pretty good. All of the supporting characters were pretty generic and hollow in their performances. So I wasn't really on board for that. Like, everybody else was pretty generic. The story, the writing, the dialogue was all pretty standard. It was fine. But yeah, that's the number one movie in America, folks. So if you want to check out the number one movie in America, The Wretched, is on VOD right now, and you can stream that for $7 is what I believe it is. So, all right, guys. So that does it for my news, and I'm gonna show off this collectible real quick, and then I'm gonna get into something that's pretty exciting for this show. And if you're a viewer of this show, and then I'm gonna go into the Q&A after that. But my collectible I want to show off today is my Black Phillip Pop, which I love. It's completely fantastic, and you have Black Phillip, and he's got a little apple down there. And I don't take it out of the box too often. I'm taking a couple photos with the Blu-ray for my Instagram, but I'm not going to unbox it here. But just to show y'all that, if any Witch fans out there, if you're a fan of this film and Black Phillip, it's one of my favorite pops. So I was really happy to pick that up. So, all right, guys, let's get into the exciting news. So last week I reviewed The Lodge, and I actually bought the film on Blu-ray. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to offer viewers of this show, The Haunting of Mid-Level, a chance to enter to win the giveaway of the digital code of this Blu-ray. So all you have to do, guys, is comment down below, just anything that we've discussed here today. All you have to do is leave a comment down below on the show and like the video as well. But I'm not going to promote this giveaway. I'm not going to let anyone know that I'm doing the giveaway in the show. So this is going to be exclusive. If you are actually watching the show and you have gotten to this point in the video, you know about the giveaway. And if you comment below, you will be automatically entered to win the digital code of The Lodge. So I just wanted to do that for you guys, for strictly the Haunting of Mid-Level fans, because I appreciate you guys. We're a small but mighty community here at the Haunting of Mid-Level. So I wanted to show you all my appreciation and enter you all to win a little something. So let's move on, guys, and we're going to get to the Q&As, and I got some pretty good questions here today that's going to lead into kind of a big one that somebody wanted me to answer, but I'm going to get started here, guys, and the first one comes from Campos Reviews, and he's been giving me some really great kind of topics and discussions as far as like which crappy film or what some would consider the crappy films of a franchise against another one. He did Halloween Resurrection versus Curse of Michael Myers. Last week he did Jason Takes Manhattan versus Jason Goes to Hell. And this week he asked me Bride of Chucky versus Child's Play 3. So, I do not like Bride of Chucky. I don't like that film at all. I liked it okay when I first saw it, but the movie doesn't age well. And to me, that signified the turn in the Child's Play franchise that I was not on board for. I like Chucky laughing, goofing around a little bit, but I don't like him just completely nonsensical and ridiculous and just over-the-top goofiness. Like, I'm not on board for that. I like my Chucky to still be a little scary. And by the time he got to Bride of Chucky and then Seed of Chucky, of course they brought it back a little bit with Curse, but he just wasn't scary anymore. And Child's Play 3, as much hate as it gets, I actually really like Child's Play 3. I don't hate that movie as much as some do. Like, I really like the first Child's Play, the second one. The second one's my favorite, but the third one I think is really great too. And, it has one of the best sequences, with the amusement park at the end of the roller coaster. It has some great kills in it too. The garbage truck scene where the guy gets crushed in the garbage truck, the barber that gets his throat slashed, in the beginning where he kills that guy and the head of the toy company. And then it says, "Don't fuck with the Chuck." Like, it's got some great one-liners in it. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Child's Play 3. I really like that film. And yeah, I always remember it as a kid. For that amusement park scene at the end and him getting thrown in the fan and chopped to bits, and where they're playing war games in the woods and the one kid jumps on the grenade and saves everybody. Like, it has some good moments in it. It's got some good moments. I really enjoy Child's Play 3. So that's my answer to that. And now let's move on to the next one, guys. We're going to Netflix Reviews, and he asks, favorite horror franchise with at least 6 films. So I'm going to be talking about a lot of horror franchises here in a second, so I'm not going to name any of them. But if I'm giving my honest answer, it's probably Paranormal Activity. And you're going to have to hear me out for a second, because all like the main franchises like Nightmare, Friday the 13th, Halloween, like they all have great films, and they have films that I probably like more than all of the Paranormal Activity films individually. But I think that Paranormal Activity has more films that I really like or love than those franchises do, because a lot of those sequels for the other ones just aren't that good. And Paranormal Activity has 3 films that I consider to be great horror films. The first 3 Paranormal Activities are fantastic. And, the 4th one's okay, I don't really have a huge problem with it. It's kind of uneventful, and I don't like how it changes the story direction and takes away from the first three almost. But the Mark ones is really solid as well. Like that's a really good. I wouldn't say that's great, but that's a really good one. And Ghost Dimension is what it is. It's what I would consider the only truly bad one of the franchise. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Paranormal Activity on that answer right there, Netflix. So let's move on to Movie Files. And Movie Files asks, what was the last good slasher film to come out? And that's a really interesting question because, in my opinion, there hasn't been a lot. Like the slasher genre has pretty much died in the past at least 10 years or so, and things have more or less moved in kind of the spiritual, paranormal kind of sector with the Conjuring and Insidious. And of course, Hereditary, and things are a lot more moody and atmospheric. So the essence of the true slasher film has kind of been lost lately. And yeah, they still make them, but they're not like super popular, and most of them aren't any good. So I think that the last really good one to come out, if I'm being honest, was probably back in 2011 is when I think this film came out, and that's Your Next. And I had a little trouble with this because Your Next is a lot, it's also kind of a home invasion film. And I kind of separate those a little bit, but it is also a slasher film. Like it not in the traditional sense, but it's kind of slasher home invasion thriller. But yeah, that is a fantastic movie. It's a great movie. So yeah, for like the last, or I could also go another 2011 movie, and that's Scream 4. I think Scream 4 is an excellent Scream sequel. I like that movie more and more every time I watch it. So that's another great slasher just from the past 10 years. And other than that, like, I don't know. I thought about it, and I tried to look some up. I really can't think of any other great. I could go Halloween Reboot. Yeah, I could go Halloween Reboot or Halloween 2018. I think that was a really solid Halloween sequel. But yeah. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Your Next. I think as much as I like Halloween 2018, Your Next is superior to that film. So, all right, guys, let's go into the next question. And we got Shane.movies, and he asks, do you watch Jordan Peele's The Twilight Zone? If you watch it, do you like it? So no, I have not seen Jordan Peele's The Twilight Zone. Like I do really like the old Twilight Zone. I've actually watched a few of those episodes recently on Netflix. I watched the one with the plane and William Shatner recently. So I do like and appreciate the old Twilight Zone, and but no, I haven't seen the new one, mainly because it's on CBS All Access, and I don't feel like getting another streaming service. And also, like, it just didn't get that good of reviews. And you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I heard it wasn't that great. So that kind of turned me off, and I thought about maybe getting the DVDs or Blu-ray set to buy it, but with hearing that it's not that good, I just don't know if I want to waste my time with it. So, and maybe if like Jordan Peele was directly involved with like directing some of the episodes, and I heard they were really great, like I might be more interested. But as of right now, I'm just not too interested in watching that show. So I hope that answers your question, Shane. So let's move on to kind of the main event question here, guys. And Campos Reviews asked me, and he's kind of asking a lot here, but it's he wants to know my favorite from Friday versus my favorite from Halloween versus my favorite from Nightmare, and how they compare. And also he wants me to rank all of them. So to be honest, I could do individual videos for every single one of these to rank the Nightmares and the Fridays and the Halloweens. Like those probably could have their own separate videos. But you know what? I'm just going to do it right here, guys. I'm going to let you know where I stand on all three of these franchises, just so you know, here at the Haunting of Mid-Level. And the first one I'm going to talk about, well, first, let me pick my favorites from each one, and then I'll kind of compare those, and then we'll go into the individual rankings. So my favorite from the Nightmare is the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That is the best. My favorite from Friday the 13th is Friday the 13th Part 2. And my favorite from Halloween is, of course, John Carpenter's original Halloween. So of those three, my favorite is John Carpenter's Halloween. But to be honest, like Nightmare on Elm Street is really close as well. Like I love that movie. Now, and Friday the 13th Part 2 is really fun, but it's not my favorite. it probably wouldn't even crack my top 20 horror films of all time, much less my top 10 or top 5 like the other two do. So let's go into these rankings, guys. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this, but I'm just going to run it down. And so my ranking of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 is number 1. Nightmare 3 Dream Warriors is number 2. New Nightmare is number 3. Number 4 is Nightmare 4 Dream Master. Number 5 is Nightmare 5 Dream Child. Number 6 is Freddy's Dead. And this might be a little controversial, but Nightmare 2 is my number 7. So yeah, I actually like Freddy's Dead more than Nightmare 2. I really don't like Nightmare 2 outside the opening. The opening's great, but beyond that, I really don't like the movie. And number 8 is the Nightmare remake, which was atrocious. I don't care. Like, you can say whatever you want about it. Well, it was different, and Jackie Earle Haley brought something different to the Fred Krueger role. Whatever. It's not good. That movie sucks, and it didn't need to be remade. But let's go to the Jason franchise, guys. So number 1, you got Friday the 13th Part 2. Number 2 is Jason Goes to Hell. Again, another controversial pick, but I love Jason Goes to Hell. Number 3 is Friday Part 7. I really like that one with the girl with telekinesis. And number 4 is The Final Chapter, which is Part 4. Number 5 is Friday the 13th Part 3. Number 6 is the original Friday the 13th. Number 7 is Friday the 13th Part 6, which might also be controversial because that one is very loved by the horror community. Number 8 is the remake. Number 9 is Friday the Beginning, A New Beginning, which is Part 5. Number 10 is Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan. And number 11 is Jason X, which I might need to rewatch Jason X. I don't know. But I've just never liked that movie. So let's go into the Halloween franchise, guys. So number 1 is the original Halloween. Number 2 is Halloween 2018. Number 3 is Halloween Part 4. Number 4 is Halloween Part 2. And number 5, and this one might surprise you, my number 5 is Rob Zombie's Halloween. H2, Rob Zombie's Halloween. Number 6 is Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Number 7 is Halloween 5. Number 8 is H2O. Number 9 is Curse of Michael Myers. Number 10 is Resurrection. And number 11 is the atrocious, the worst movie of all time, in my opinion, Rob Zombie's remake of Halloween. So, yeah, I freaking hate that movie. And one day I'm going to make an entire chapter of The Haunting of Mid-Level where I just rant about what the shit job that Rob Zombie did on that Halloween movie. So, I hate that movie. But, yeah, guys. That does it for this episode of The Haunting of Mid-Level. So, we covered some stories, did my collectible. Be sure, guys, to comment down below if you want to enter that Lodge giveaway. That is a mid-level or Haunting of Mid-Level exclusive. So I'm not going to promote that anywhere. It's only going to be for those that watch the show. So go ahead and comment below if you want a chance to win that digital copy of The Lodge. But that does it for the episode, guys. Be sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you next time.